Hi, welcome to my retirement roadmap. And this is the final video in our series about building a tips ladder. This is what I'm calling an advanced topic because we will be using www.tipsladder.com for building tips ladders. And I just wanted to give some examples there. Here's my claim to fame. So, October of 2025, San Antonio, Texas. I was at the Bogleheads conference. And the developer of tipsladder.com was there, and he presented the tips ladder and gave us a demo and how to use it. I was like so excited about it because I've been using tipsladder.com for a few years. And I wanted to go up and say, thank you so much. I really appreciate this, what you've given to us to help build tips ladders, just amazing, etc. My problem was, I guess isn't so much a claim to fame, almost, but I could not find him. I don't know why. I just never saw him again. I kept looking and just didn't happen. But I also wanted to tell him that I've been using the tips ladder, and my plans are to create a video walking through it from my perspective as well. There are a bunch of other tips ladder demo videos out on YouTube. So you can also, if you want to look at it from other people's perspective, you can do that as well. But here's mine. Okay, so let's go ahead and we will go over to tipsladder.com, and I'm going to walk you through the parts that I think are really helpful. Okay, so he does talk about the current years, and if you do build a 20-iron tips ladder, you can get a safe withdrawal rate of this and a real yield, etc. That in my retirement roadmap, I am not a fan of the safe withdrawal rate, but a lot of people are, so this is helpful there. And also, I'm not. I think 10 years is probably the tallest ladder that I would recommend for tips ladder. Sorry, I know it comes up. I say how helpful this tips ladder is, and I'm already starting to say, well, I don't use this and don't do that. But anyway, it's not that big a deal. I also think here's an interesting thing is he's talking about inflation is 2.68%. So keep that in mind when you are looking at the yields for a tips ladder. You gotta add this inflation amount roughly to get to a nominal rate, which when you start comparing it to what is my brokerage account money market rate paying, or what's a treasury bond, nominal treasury bond paying for the same thing. So just keep that in mind. Okay. So let's go. This is where I start out is I go here to generate ladder automatically. That's kind of where I come from. All right. So I pre-populated this though. Let me walk through it. Let's see which tips to use to fund a year without maturing tips. Let's go look here for a second to what I'm saying here. If we go look at the catalog, we can scroll. We can see 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. 37, 38, and 39 are missing. There are no tips available currently in those years. Now, my theory is the Treasury will eventually fill in those years. So we will have a 37, 38, and 39. But for right now, they're not there. So what the tips is saying here is, what do you want me to do if there isn't a tips there? What do you want me to do? So I like the default, which is bond pair duration match for the gap year. But you can see where you can go to the last before start date, blah, blah, blah. I just keep the default there. And again, for me, I don't like tall ladders, so it's kind of a moot point for that. But I did want to point that out. And which tips to use when several mature the same year? Okay, so I like, I think we talked about in the last video, I like January 15th. So I like the first day. So earliest to mature is mine. I also like the lowest coupon payment. So I prefer that. We talked about that, I think. I just don't want to throw off interest. So I want the lowest coupon payment and the earliest to mature. So that's what I select, earliest to mature. Exclude pre-ladder interest from earliest funded years. I keep that as a default. I mean, there's interest sitting in there that we need to take account for, but I'm not making a big fuss about that right now. It's just more noise than anything else. And then you could this income requirement kind. Okay, so you can choose the average or the minimum amount you want. So, for example, if you say average, and we're saying, well, we want $47,500 on average in our ladder from 27 to 32. Okay, so it will use that information. That's not what we want in the example we used last video. So we are using the specified for each year. Actually, we will go in here and I'll see if I can remember correctly. I think our first 3 years were 60,000, 2, 3, 60, 1, 2, 3, 60, 1, 2, 3. And then we have 40, 40, and 25. So 40, 1, 2, 3, 40, 1, 2, 3, and then 25. Okay. So let's see. So it's given us our, if we scroll down here, it's given our ladder properties. This is kind of a summary of what's happening. Then if we go to bonds to buy, okay, it gives us the bonds. It's suggesting these. And lo and behold, our bonds are the same that it's selected. So that's pretty cool. Okay, the 49, the R9, the W6, the 37. Yeah, they're exactly the same ones that we selected on our own before. This is actually better detail than what we came up with. It's given us more information. We can go ahead. We can also download this. It really is great information. And here we can also see what it's talking about, how much it's going to cost today, what the principal is, what interest is already there, what we're going to get over the proceeds as it goes along. Great information. Cash flow calendar. You can see this as well. Say, for example, in 2026, we are going to pay $279,000 in interest. We're going to get $592, and you can see where it's showing how all of the interest payments and which bonds they're coming from. Tipsladder.com just has some phenomenal information. It just depends on how much detail you want to get into. We have we call them our engineering types. You know, they want to know all the detail. They want to see it all. And this tipsladder.com is a great place to show that. Okay. I also, you can also download this, and it gives a spreadsheet. You get all the detail there. Here are the hyperlinks. If you want to go in, you can also go see what's happening with it takes you over to Treasury Direct. I think I showed that in the last video. Excellent information there. Let me go back here. You can save these things. You can look at what your existing portfolio is. See, you can track it. Here's the build ladder by hand. You can also do that. I've done this before. It's pretty similar to what we did when we did our own research and put in. That is obviously available. The developer provides information. You can go through. You can see a lot of information here on tips. Okay. So just a wealth of information. This tips watch down here, this tips watch, that's another really good area if you want to learn even more. Okay. Also, I think it's also a good idea. The developer here has done this all on his own, is my understanding. I think if I recall correctly, and I should go, the video is out there, by the way, in YouTube from the Bogleheads. They record and they release so if you want to see his demo, definitely do that. But I also think it's a good idea. If you're actually using this, send some support. I think that's a good idea. Me personally, I think it's a good idea. All right. That is just a very quick introduction to tipsladder.com. So you have both you've got my video that I did, the previous one, where we kind of like hand did everything and we went and showed how to do it in Fidelity. And now you've seen the tipsladder.com, which is where I started and learned so much about tips. And I'm hoping this will be helpful. and you find this information something you want to do with your portfolio. Because at the end of the day, I think tips, and especially these tips ladders to protect for 5 to 7 years while the stock market's doing its thing and you protect those essential expenses. It's really an unappreciated and underutilized method for our portfolio. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next class series.